So what's today all about? And today is about making sure that you are setting up a structure in your life so that you get what you want. There is a proper sequence to doing this. The steps, you can't do them out of order. So there's a proper sequence to doing this, and even if you do everything perfectly right, in the order in which it should be done, that the universe says this is how it works, there will be others in this world, including yourself, who are gonna try to pull you off your path. So today, we're gonna talk about how do you be really directed, how do you ward off those things that oftentimes can be rarely detectable, and also, more importantly, how do you get yourself the right tools so that you know what to do, how to do it, when something is trying to interfere with you and your process and who you are, and what those tools are that you should use. And I'm going to give you a particular tool that you can use for your career, and you can adapt it to your life, but it's something that I really think is going to help you. So we're going to talk about the sequence. I'm going to show you some little examples of how these things creep in. Then we're going to spend a lot of time on the tool itself and how to use it. So I think you're gonna like it. And let me, I'm really excited about the Bears. I'm wearing my orange today because I know football season is like not really here yet, but it's coming. So I'm kind of excited about that. All right. So here's what I want to do. I've got a slide for you guys because I want to walk you. I've got a bunch of show and tells today. So buckle up and let's get over to the slides, and let me give you my interpretation of the sequence in which you need to go through things in your life. Oop, hang on a second. How about that? I was doing all my prepping, but now you guys are all ahead of the game. Okay, so everything that we do in our life is about who we are. I want you to think of the who as your strategy, your philosophy, your blueprint, your centerpiece, your internal marker, your headline, whatever it is. Everything that we do in our lives is aimed at doing something that feeds our self-image. This is the place to start. Okay, so you don't start with a why. You never start with why. You can't start with the why until you know who you are and why you want to be that. Why comes second. But the first thing is I want you to think about, who I am. Who do I want to be? And you can think about this in layers. So when I think about myself and I think about my interaction and with you and who I am internally and who I am with the world, I think of myself as a career coach who helps people build rewarding careers and lead fulfilled lives. So I don't just teach on careers, I also teach on lifestyle and wellness and high performance and other things. But at the very highest level, that's who I am, right? But there's a lot of people who are that too. Right, or so they call themselves that. That's a place to start, and then from there are layers of who you are. So there's what I do, there's how I do it, but there's also what I strive to be as a who. So I don't want to just be a career coach, for example. I want to be a career coach who is a practitioner coach, meaning I'm gonna find my source of knowledge and experience that I'm gonna have. I'm gonna reverse engineer it, and I'm gonna feed it to you, as opposed to a collection of research that I do. So I'm a practitioner as well. I'm also somebody who wants to explain to you why I think what I think, how this applies to you, so that as I teach you the steps, you understand the rationale. So there's a psychology behind it that's also embodied in my teaching and who I am at the core. I want to explain it to you because I care about you knowing it. And then another thing about who I am, I want to be present with people because I want to be a teacher who's actually there, working with them, listening to them. So there's a level of presence. So I always think of myself in those 3 Ps, a practitioner, the psychological components, but also that I'm present. So all of this embodies a part of who I am, and there's other things as well. So just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, as you look at the layers of who you are, this is the place to start. Then you could think about your why and what drives you. But when you're thinking about your why, and we're not going to go too much into the why right now, but your why is going to be your greatest source of strength. It's going to be the thing that pulls you through the difficult times. And while we're going to get into some of the layers and the next steps that I think you need to do that will ensure success if you follow them, whenever times get tough, the environment that you set for yourself is going to be highly important in order for your survival, but so too is your why. So I just want you to recognize the sequence here. So when you think about who you are, I want you to ask yourself the question, who exactly do I want to be? You can spell it out because there's who you are at the core, right? I've taught you in some of my freemiums and videos, as well as in my job search coaching program in a much more nauseating detail about how to identify yourself in one sentence, except that who you are is so much more than that one sentence. So for you to personally attain what you want, to live life the way you want, to get what you want, you're going to need to know who you are at a deeper level. But that's the first step. Okay, that's where you start. You don't start anywhere else because every single thing you're going to do for the rest of your life is going to feed who you think you are. So let's make it who you actually are. Let's build that. All right, the next thing is the goals. What do I want to create? What are my outputs? And you'll notice that that little arrow goes back and forth because the goals you're going to create for yourself are supporting who you want to be. So what kind of accomplishments do I need to attain to support who I am? That's the second goal you need to ask yourself. So when I think about what I want to create as an output, well, there's different things that I do each week. I create a newsletter so I can communicate with you. I show up here every Thursday at least to communicate with you, right? I want to do that. Those are goals. Those are outputs. I create a YouTube channel. Right? That's a goal. What kind of YouTube channel do I want to create? Well, the goal isn't to create a YouTube channel. The goal isn't to create a video each week. That's an output. But the goal is to be able to create, so for example, one of my goals is to create a place where you can go that is wide and deep. It is the only place you'd actually need to visit to find out anything you needed to know about your career, how to find the job you wanted, the career you wanted, and develop yourself within it. That's what I go to create. So those are the goals and the outputs. So the first thing is who do I want to be? The second thing is what accomplishments are going to support who I want to be. Okay? Any of you that are out there that are in my goal setting masterclass or in my productivity challenge, those courses, what do we talk about? All the goals that you set should be set around something you love, but those things that you love should be feeding, right, your lifestyle and your self-image. So that's an important step. And then what's next? Okay, that's the process. So who do I want to be? What goals and accomplishments do I want to attain? And what's the path I need to take to get there? That's the process. That's the steps. There's macro level processes like I want to create a YouTube channel. I want to build something. But the steps to do that are put out a video each week or something like that. There could be sequential steps. There could be little microcosms within. But what is the path that I'm going to take in order to get there? So when I think about creating my channel, I think about the bricks that I'm going to apply each week. Then I think about within the brick, what's that look like? And then as I stack up the bricks, what's the whole picture look like as I work toward the bigger goal? Follow this sequence because everything that you do, how you do what you do, feeds who you are. So when I said the part about, well, I think of myself in the 3 Ps. Well, I could build a YouTube channel by creating a video each week. That's how. Or I could create a YouTube channel by creating a video each week and showing up live each week, right? But I can also include you in the process. That's how I want to do it. Let's feed off what they need. Isn't that the best source of building that? Think in terms of like when I think of my YouTube channel, I think of my YouTube channel as like a puzzle for your life, not mine. right? I don't put my YouTube channel together for me. I put my YouTube channel together for you. So there's a puzzle there. And then I started filling in the puzzle really fast with what I thought you needed because of my practitioner knowledge of being a coach, a career coach, helping you with your job searching and your career development. And then what did you do? Then you came to the party, you engaged, and then what did you do? You asked me questions every week. That helps me fill in the gaps. That helps me add pieces to the puzzle. These are steps that were thoughtfully outlined and then executed. But everything that I do week in, week out is aimed at how am I going to achieve those goals. So the question you want to ask yourself in this box is, what specific steps do I need to take to achieve those goals to support who I am or who I want to be? And then what you're looking at is then it becomes a routine, a belief, a lifestyle. So all the outputs that you're doing become more and more routine. I mean that in a good way, right? Every Tuesday at 6:30, you get a newsletter. Every Tuesday at 6:30, a video goes out on my YouTube channel. We do not miss, ever, right? It's a routine. Everything that we do in the activity and the steps that we take, whether you're working toward a project, whether you're doing something that is maintenance, maybe it's communicating in your relationship, whatever it is always going to be part of the lifestyle. And this is where we spend the most time feeding ourselves that image of who we are. It's in the doing. It's always, always in the doing. So going back to my goal setting masterclass, and the productivity course. Those of you that are in it, you know that every goal that we outline in that program, what does it do? The reps that you go through do what? You need to do it, reflect on it, it rewires your brain, it feeds your self-image, then you get the reward, then you loop it again, and you're always doing this. All right, what is one of the most readily available examples of this for you guys, what I give you? So I know most of you are not job searchers by profession, right? None of you are. Well, maybe some of you, career coaches are teaching it. But most of you have a certain image about yourself when it comes to your job search or when it comes to developing your career. So when I, as your coach, know that you don't have a great self-image, probably because you're doing steps out of order or the wrong steps or steps that won't yield the highest return, what did I do? I tried to show you through my job search challenge. If you're not familiar with this, check it out. But the challenge itself, for purposes of this discussion, is designed to make you do repetitive tasks that are high yield. They give you high ROI. And what does it do? It teaches you how to do something that you're reluctant to do or not sure to do so that you can become consistent and that you can gain confidence through repeated action and results that change the way you think about yourself as a job seeker and what you can offer as an employee. What does that do? It reshapes your self-image. Goes back to who I am in this case, right? I'm constantly working on reshaping your image of yourself so that you will do things that you otherwise would not do, or things that you would have done without my consultation, but now you will do them with more vigor because you're more confident. Okay, so you need to do this for yourself. So everything that you do day in and day out, week in and week out, month in and week out, is what ultimately will change your belief template about yourself. And I think I talked about this last week. Another great way to look at this is for those of you that suffer from imposter syndrome, where you don't believe in yourself. A big part of that is because you are spending time I'm really off the PowerPoint today, but you are spending time here and in a psychoanalysis mode of your history, and you're thinking back about who you are not or when you tripped, and it's giving you all kinds of nastiness that's going through your head when what should you be doing? You should be spending a lot of your time, like 99% of it, in the doing, because the action and the repetition and the doing is what reshapes your belief about yourself and what you can accomplish. So if you are suffering from that and you can't get out of that sick cycle and loop that you're in, you're just spending time in the wrong place. Don't dwell on your thoughts. Your thoughts are your thoughts. Let them Let them pass. Spend more time focused on and giving your attention to the intention of actually doing. So this is a big deal. Big honking deal. So what's the question here? What daily routines and beliefs support who I am and who I want to be? That's what you need to be looking at here. And then what we want to make sure is that, you saw the big red box, right? There are tools that support your ability to do all of this. All of it over and over and over again, that completely feed your self-image. That completely feed your ability to accomplish things, that completely feed how you do what you do at a macro and a micro level, and then what you do day in and day out. Now, tools are anything, all right? They could be systems, they could be characteristics and traits, they could be particular conditions, they could be your environment, they could be people, okay? Everything is a tool. Everything is a tool, okay? So the important thing is to notice that most of the time people do this sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the tools, they start at the bottom. They start in the toolbox, right? And I'll be really specific here, because everything in your life, any tool that you attain, any tool that you buy, any tool that you research, any tool that you use, should do what? It should enhance your ability to get accomplished what you want to accomplish. That's part of your strategy. That's part of who you are. But what do? Right? I want to be healthier. I want to go on a diet. You should get this app that counts calories. It's a tool. Is it the right tool? You should try this super fad diet, right? Most people collect tools, but they don't have a strategy for how they're going to use them. So what does this lead to? Well, you have tools you don't need, or maybe you got the wrong tool. Maybe you got a tool that you need, but it isn't the right one. Maybe you're misusing the right one. Maybe within the tool, you don't have the right guidance. This happens. Maybe you got the wrong coach. Maybe the coach is teaching you the wrong things. Maybe the system is teaching you the wrong things. Right? This happens a lot. Let me give you a couple of examples here. You know, when I wanted to become a trainer and a coach, I was converting from a business to business owner to a business to consumer owner that had to have a different marketing strategy that, guess what? Needed tools, right, to use. And what are some examples of tools that I use that you'd be familiar with? Well, YouTube's a tool, right? Apple iTunes is a tool for my podcast, as is Facebook and LinkedIn and my blog, and all kinds of stuff are tools, right? So I had a coach and he said, you got to use all the tools. You got to be everywhere. Except that it wasn't feeding the strategy that I didn't need to have a podcast if I had a YouTube channel that people could just close their eyes if they wanted to just listen to the audio kind of thing, right? So I was spending a lot of time using a tool that was ineffective. But it's just an example. But can you think in your own life where, you know, tools that you have that are ineffective? And then I also said the part about sometimes you're using the right tool, but the coach, the system, the people that are part of your support group tool are giving you the wrong guidance, or guidance that isn't in alignment with who you are and what you want to be, right? So let me give you a great example here. I want to show you. I want to show you something I got from YouTube. So every month, YouTube, at the end of the month, gives the creator of the channel some statistics. And there's all kinds of stuff, you know, how many views, how many subscribers, how many dollars you made on your revenue and all that, on your ad revenue and all that good stuff. So a couple of months ago, I got this little thing that flashed up on my dashboard, and it said, in this period, your videos appealed to a smaller audience. This could mean viewers didn't watch as long, or people, didn't select your video, or they selected your videos less often when they appeared in recommendations. So that's what they were telling me that they thought was something I didn't do effectively during the month. And then it says, instead of focusing on the videos that aren't performing well, take a look at your top videos to learn what topics and formats are working best. Okay, now, YouTube is telling me what it thinks I need to do. And if I was not as disciplined and dialed in and directed and had a strategy, never to waver from my strategy, I would look at that and I would, your heart would sink and you thought you'd had a bad month. Except when I actually looked at what was transpiring during that month, remember I said I treat my YouTube channel like a puzzle. I want it to be the biggest and baddest ass puzzle you could ever see that is completely filled so that when you need anything related to your career, you could go to my YouTube channel and find it, as niche-y an issue as it might be. That's who I am. I want to make sure it's wide. I want to make sure it's deep. And so if I wanted to make sure that my YouTube views were high every month, all I need to do is show up once a week and talk about resume writing, because resume writing gets a lot of views. It gets a lot of clicks. It gets a lot of views. And if my goal was to have a higher number of subscribers, that's nice. My goal is not my subscriber count. My goal is not my view count. My goal and my direction is to have a complete channel, which means when you're asking me questions like you're going to ask me here in an hour, that is important. The questions you ask me are what you need to know. That's what needs to go on the channel. We cut them up. We package them up. We say, oh, hey, there's a puzzle piece missing. Bang, in it goes. Bang, in it goes. I know I'm not going to get as many views on that. You cannot waver. I'm in it for the long game, right? YouTube cares about what? My views. Why? Because it wants to make more money, right? It takes a huge percentage of all the ad spend that goes on my videos. So its best interest, its self-interest, is to tell me how to get my view count up. But that has nothing to do with my goal, except that it looks pretty innocent. But this happens to you every day. Are you the salesperson whose boss comes to you and says, sell the thing, instead of build a relationship with the customer so that they will buy it and never leave? Where's your focal point? Is your attention on your intention, right? Are you the company whose business strategy keeps wavering? Are you the company who dials up a culture but doesn't hire people that align to it? Right? These are all things that throw you off. Did you decide what was important to you and then completely neglect it when you chose that job that you don't like? This is what I'm talking about. All right, so you got to figure out, what are the tools I need to help me complete the steps that will accomplish my goals to be who I am? All right, do not start at the bottom with the tools. Do not start in this section down here where everybody is. New fads, new diets, new exercise regimes, right? New apps, new whatevers. So this is really important. You got to get the sequence right. Who I am feeds the goals I create for the accomplishments I want to be who I am. And then I determine the steps it's going to take to achieve the goals, and the steps themselves will yield a lifestyle and an operating mode. And to support all of that, I will get the tools that I need to make sure that I stay on track. Okay, so this is the philosophy that you got to have. I wanted to start with this beginning of Community Appreciation Week because I wanted to have this discussion with you. I've never said it this way to you, to this audience, but I really feel that this is the way that you need to go. And then everything about how you do what you do and all that good stuff comes out of this little pyramid here. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this part of the talk. If you're loving it so far, click the thumbs up button, share this. All right, we're gonna shift gears here a little bit. I want to get into the tactics and the tools I want to give you. All right, so with that in mind, first thing I want you to do, okay, this goes across your life, not just for work. Like, I'm a career coach, right? I'm a business owner. I'm a husband. I'm a aspiring triathlete who trains like it's a whole job, right? All that stuff feeds my lifestyle and so forth, right? My healthy lifestyle, and no comments about my martinis and my cigars, but you know what I mean. I want you to think about, who do I want to be? Okay, who do I want to be? Why do I want to be that? I have a very long why. It's long. I say it to myself every day. That's totally dialed in. I know we didn't spend a whole lot of time on that today. But what goals do you want to create? If you want more on this stuff, Job Search Coaching Program goes into all this. The Goal Setting Masterclass takes a wider view of goal setting and accomplishments. And the Productivity Challenge really keeps you moving. Okay, so if you want more on this, that's your first step. All right, but now let's get into the more tactics on the tools. Second thing I want you to do is I want you to develop a list. This list is going to guide you, and most importantly about this list, I want it to be your list, and we're going to spend the rest of the talk talking about this list, how to build it, where you're going to go wrong, and all that good stuff. Now, I want this list to be a guide. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of analogies here. The list I'm talking about is, I want to talk about the list I want you to create. I want you to imagine you were buying a house. And some of you probably just look at the houses and you're like, oh, this is great, I'm going to buy it. That's very emotional. That's what most of us do. And that's what most of us do when we change jobs. I want you to imagine you're going to be really thoughtful and you're going to think about, okay, I need a kitchen. It's a must-have. And in the kitchen, I need a stove. That's a must-have, right? Unless you eat out every night. And the Viking stove would be really nice, but I probably don't need that. The Sub-Z, that'd be super, but I don't need that kind of thing. Now, I want a family room. I need 3 bedrooms because I got, 5 kids. I would love a fireplace. Office would be nice because I work from home, right? I need an area for the gym. That would be pretty good. Maybe that's a high-ish, but not super high, but high, right? And you're going to go through all that. And then what you do is you start going and you look at houses. And you look at houses, and then instead of comparing this house to that house, why not compare all these houses to your standard benchmark, your yardstick of measuring homes as far as they would make you happy? That's what I'm talking about. I want you to create a list like this, and I want you to weight it. So these are super high, these are super medium, these are cherries, and so forth. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use this all the time for the rest of your life. And you're going to use it as you choose careers. Like, do I want to be a marketing specialist? Do I want to own my own marketing agency? Do I want whatever it might be? And then, or maybe I'm looking for jobs. Does this employer match my lists better than that employer? You're not comparing the 2 employers against each other. You're comparing each employer against your list. And same thing with a role. How happy will this role make me? Now, this list, I call it many things. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it happiness factors. That's a good name. You can call it your criteria. That's a good name. You could call it your list of needs. That's a good name. All right, but basically, first thing is I just want you to conceptualize what this list is. And I'm going to be really prescriptive, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. But this is how you're going to use it. So I've got a list of things that I want, that I know are my total nirvana. If I could actually check off every single thing to the degree I want it, I would know that I would be in absolute heaven. Now, you don't have to get everything, but there's certain things that you want. And I want to make sure you get them. All right, now, I want to talk about why people generally fail at this exercise. Now, without going into the entire psychology behind decision making, if you're really interested in my thoughts on the psychology of decision making, I have included it in the Hiring Prophecies. So it's the book that I wrote for corporations on how to hire better, about the process that job seekers go through when they change jobs, how emotional it is. They use moral algebra and all this other stuff that's really, really a poor technique where they're comparing A against B. pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages, instead of making a benchmark that they can evaluate everything from. And what most people do when they make good decisions is they have two things going for them. They have good decision-making mechanics, and they have all the information, meaning I have all the information, no inaccurate assumptions, no blind spots. Because when you don't have information or you have false information, you're making the decision in an as educated manner as you can, except in that case, it's uneducated or it's incorrect. So I want to take you through why this is so important. So the first thing is I need you to make the list. All right, so evaluate yourself before you evaluate your options. So this is mistake number one, is what happens. Hey, I got a job opportunity, you want to look at it. Or you're just poking around and one surfaces. But if you don't have your needs in order, you don't know whether that's a good match for you or not. So what do? You're in reaction mode. I want you to be in proactivity mode, where you've done all this first. This is mistake number one. Mistake number two is what I was just saying here about it being incomplete. The longer your list, the better your list. You don't have to get everything, and you don't need to think of yourself as a high maintenance person. You need to think of yourself as a comprehensive, thoroughly thought through person, because this would make me super, super happy. Could I live without some of these things? Of course. But the more complete it is, the better. So don't short it thinking, oh, well, I could go with the flow with that stuff. It doesn't work that way. If you have 3 items and you go 3 for 3, I'm not nearly as certain as if you have 25 items and go 20 for 25 and getting what you want. It's all the other stuff that you didn't think about or evaluate properly that's going to screw you, okay? And then the other thing that people do from a mistakes standpoint with this list is they overemphasize recency. So the current issues I'm facing are the biggest pains in my butt. My boss is a micromanager. My commute is too far. I haven't had a raise in a long time. Yes, those are all important, but so too are the other 15 things that you actually have that are good about your current job. But what do people do, right? The short brunette just broke up with me. I'm gonna go find me a tall blonde kind of thing, right? That's what we do, right? We think we need something different. And that's you just need to make sure that you're not doing this. And I'm going to show you how to do that. You're not digging deep enough. All right, so I've got a list and everything's in order, except you're skimming the surface and you're not actually getting all the information from an employer or through your research for your career. What's it really like to be a career coach? I think that would be cool, man. Andy just shows up on Thursday and he seems like he's got the life. You really got to see what happens when the camera's off. Okay, so are you researching everything, whether that's your, the career you want or the company you want or the role? Hey, it sounds cool. I'm a project manager. I think I should be a product manager. What do you know about that? Superficial stuff. All right, so you gotta look deep enough. All right, so let's get to the here's how, and then let's do a little demo. All right, first thing, let's make this simple. Make a list of all the things you want, all right? All your must-haves, all your nice ones, and all your cherries on top. Must-have, nice to have, really nice to have. Make a list of what those are. Second thing is, I want you to make it yours, not someone else's. Don't like something because somebody told you you'll like it. Just because mom and dad are an accountant doesn't mean you need to be an accountant. Okay? Just because mom and dad are a doctor doesn't mean you need to be a doctor. Just because your friend joined a PE company doesn't mean you need to. Okay? Make it your list. And then one of the things that I definitely want you to do is make it internal, not external. So this part here is about making sure that you're coming from here. You got to live with yourself 100% of the time, right? You will never have an experience that you are not at the absolute center of. You live with this all the time. Don't worry about how it looks. Don't worry about what you think's going to happen years down the road. Do it for now. Do it for some of the stuff that you foresee in the midterm. Do it according to who you are, what you want to accomplish, where you want to go, and all that good stuff. You got to make it your own, and it's got to come from inside. Okay? The next thing is I want to make sure that as you start this list, in order to negate the recency bias, right, things that are at issue If I asked you right now, hey, write down everything you don't like about your current role, you could do it really fast. If I said to you, here's a blank sheet of paper, tell me everything you need, that's hard work. Okay, so what do I need you to do? I want you to go back and reflect, go back in the day when you were the happiest. Start writing. What was it about that? Had a great support team. I really loved my clients. Why did you love your clients? They were really engaging in support. Awesome. Write that down, right? I liked traveling at that time. Well, the 32-year-old Andy loved traveling. The 55 to be Andy doesn't love traveling for work as much. Okay, so while I was really happy then, that's not a requirement I want now, or a need, or a criteria, or anything like that. But when were you happiness? Generate this. What does this do? It's going to help you generate a more complete list about the things that actually make you happy. You'll also be able to extract these out of your current situation. When was I happiest? Then lean on this one. What are all the things I don't like? You can say, my boss is a micromanager. He yells at me all the time. Fine. But in your happiness list, you're going to turn it around and give me the antonym. I need a loving and supporting boss, and so on. All right. So 5 steps to make that list. Now, I want to tell you something. This is really a really hard tool to develop. It's really hard. And I want to tell you something from experience. As an executive recruiter, we've recruited more than 15,000 people. We've got data from way back for more than 12,000 people that we've collected it. And whenever I have a recruitment call with somebody, Andy Milewalk, recruiter guy, when I talk to a job candidate or job seeker and I say, okay, what are you looking for? Give me your happiness factors, basically. They name 2 or 3 or 4, and then they run out of steam. They're not able to come up with them from a blank sheet of paper, but that's where I want them to start. And then what does it take? It takes some prompting. And then based on some prompting, when I ask them questions, I'm able to ask them questions because I've collected data from all of these people, hand-to-hand data. Okay, not like fill out a survey, but hand-to-hand data through interviews. And I know what the top 15 or so happiness factors are from many, many years, 15, 16 years worth of data gathering. So I'm able to give them prompters. And then they say, oh yeah, that's really important. All right, well, it wasn't important 3 seconds ago. Why is it important now after I've said it? So I need you to think through this stuff. And I'm telling you that from all of that data, I've gathered what the top 15 are. So I want to give you some context of what those 15 are, because as you create your list, it's going to be a great starting point. And when I talk about the usage of this tool and how you use it to neutralize the emotion that accompanies a decision as big as job changing, buying houses, buying cars, I've done all kind of research on this, data analysis, interviews with psychologists, all kinds of stuff about why people make bad decisions. And this tool, without going into all that, this tool will help. If you just go through the mechanics of what I'm showing you, at a minimum, you'll be able to investigate areas that are important to you. You'll have less blind spots. You'll have less inaccurate assumptions. And the more effective that you get at this and the more data that you gather, the more effective and educated your decision will be about the career you want to choose, the employer you want to take, or the role you want to be in. Okay, so what does this all look like? So let me get to my little sheet here. So this is a tool that I give to the people in my job search coaching program. It's a spreadsheet for analysis that basically I say to them, okay, you paid your money. I built the tool for you. It's a massive starting point, and it's easier for you to retract and erase than it is for you to generate this from scratch. What I'm showing you here is in column A, this primary criteria is what I'm talking about. So with all these interviews and all this investigation, I know, for example, that appreciation is something that's very important. Except that appreciation in and of itself comes in different forms. Any of you familiar with the 5 love languages out there? Can I get a little, hey, does anybody know what the 5 love languages, right? If you're not familiar with this concept, appreciation in terms of you and the employer is just like a love language. So the love languages, if you're not familiar with this, are, things like words of affirmation, meaning I'm telling you I love you. Or some people like gifts. Some people like quality time, and so on. Okay, well, guess what? If you're a gifts person and I'm a words of affirmation person, and I'm interacting with you and I'm telling you I love you, and you're like, that's great, but I don't feel appreciated because you didn't buy me the jewelry. Okay, that's a great analogy for appreciation. So while appreciation is really important, you have to break this down. Well, commendations, salary increases, promotions. Maybe I want the corner office. So you have to break this down. Now I'm leaving this to you, okay? I'm giving you the column A. And then you got to build out the rest of this stuff to take it down to a lower level. Okay? Atmosphere is another one. You're going to see a lot of hidden rows here because I've blown this out for the people in the boot camp. Autonomy, my boss, you get the idea. Challenge, collaboration, commute. And this here is just what are those things? And contribution. Culture is a great one. By the way, depending on when you're watching this, but if you're here with me live on Friday, we're going to be talking about how to build the culture you want in my leadership coaching program. If you're watching this on a replay, we've already had that session. But these are, again, based on interactions with companies and individuals. So as a recruiter, evaluating their cultural components, you have to break down culture in and of itself is not the criteria. In this case, you got to go down to the adjectives, and then you got to investigate the adjectives because why? Because your blend of cultural fit is different than my blend of cultural fit. So I have to get mine in order. Is advanced base or meritocracy more important to me? Is this an employee focused? Well, I don't really care as long as I get the experience. Everybody's a little different. Back to the love languages kind of thing. But this is what I mean. So you're creating this tool, and then what you can do with the tool is you rank it. Like, how important is it? And then what questions am I going to ask the employer in order to evaluate it? And then you get your different options, and then you evaluate everything against your standard yardstick. So that column A came from more than 12,000 interviews with individuals. And so what I'm going to do for you today is I'm going to give you column A. Okay, I'm not going to give you the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet is something that the paying members of the job search coaching program get. There's like 86 lines or rows in that, and all that's built out for them so that when they go to market, they already have a massive head start. So what they're doing most of the time is they're looking at the spreadsheet and going, okay, that matters to me, that doesn't matter, that matters, that doesn't matter, here's the question I need to ask, here's how I need to investigate it, and so on, and then they can evaluate their options. The columns themselves, figuratively, will change for you depending on what? Depending on your career goal. Are you looking to change careers? The columns will read, secure the marketing position or whatever, marketing analyst, or start my own agency or whatever, or different lines of roles or whatever. Most of you, 90% of you, you're looking to change companies. So your columns are going to be employers. All right. Now, what I'll do, I'm going to give you a download. Kara, let's flip the download, the pin right now in the chat, and let me give you guys an idea. So what I did was I created this this download for you. So this checklist is a free checklist. If you're in my job search coaching program, you do not need this because I gave you the spreadsheet with all this blown out. But for those of you that are not in the program, you can get this checklist that Kara is now pinning, and it's a free download, and just go grab it. But I'm telling you that these are the 15 most common interests and needs and criteria from all those people. They don't have to be yours, but I want to give you a starting point because the goal here is to create a list of like 20 of these or so. 25 is better, 30 is better. Okay, and you have to remember, it's sub-items too. So culture could have 5, 10, 15 different characteristics that you're looking for. And it's important that you know how to investigate them. But at a minimum, for this talk, I want to make sure that we're talking about giving you the concepts and the starting point of the tool. Now, you can go build your own spreadsheet if you want, or you can enroll in my program and take mine. It's entirely up to you. Anybody can have this freebie now. So I want to recap. I want to recap this just really quick. So I'm not going to recap the whole talk, but I do want to recap some of the mechanics of building this. So you're going to make a list. You can take the download and start your list. Then you want to rate them. It's really nice to have, or it's must have, nice to have, and really nice to have. The goal is to get most alignment on the must haves, right? So think about as you're evaluating something, just because one employer matches 10 things, but if this other employer matches 3 things, but the 3 things that they match are your home run needs, those 3 things might outweigh those 10 things from another employer. That's what I'm talking about. Make sure it's your list, not somebody else's. Make sure that you're doing it internally. Don't worry about how this will look. I want you to be happy at the moment. You will learn more. You will do your job better. You will get more advancement. Everything else will work out perfectly. Okay? And then reflect on the good old times. When was I happiest? Make the list. What don't I want? And then flip them over and make them antonyms, and then go. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. All right, did it in a pretty good amount of time. I'm guessing probably 40 minutes or so, but I hope you enjoyed that. That's the first package for this week. And if you're here with me live, we're going to the Q&A. If you are watching this on the recording, I'll see you next week.